I was just asking Mike Gillis if he followed me on Twitter. What's the answer?
No.
How come, Mike? Or Kevin, for that matter.
I'd get too angry when I read their stuff. So there's a house rule that I'm not allowed to read any tweets at all.
What's the last tweet you sent out?
I can't recall, actually.
Yeah.
I sent one out about an injury that... or no, it was about a trade rumor that was...
Marty Reisner.
Yeah, Marty... No, it wasn't Marty Reisner. It was White, who said...
Ian White.
Ian White,
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So Twitter is good to deny all trade rumors. Good.
Twitter's good for that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure about what else. But.
All right. Current state of affairs in Vancouver. Your team came into this game with a 7-point lead, or into the day with a 7-point lead over Detroit. It's down to 5 now because Detroit got 2 points tonight, and you've lost 2 of your last 3. You'd never say your team is cruising towards the playoffs, but do you have any concerns?
No, I don't have any at all. I think, we've had so many defensemen hurt over the last month that we've had to put a lot of pressure on some of our top guys, and we played a lot of hockey. And, I think our team is just a little mentally and physically fatigued right now. We've had a first-year player, Chris Tanev, whose ice time got up to 20 minutes in our last game, not tonight, but our last game, and that's too many minutes for him. It's too much pressure on him. And, as we start to get guys back and we start getting healthier and our schedule begins to even out a little bit, I think we're going to be fine.
Some would argue that they look at the big picture, not really focus on the standings. But you guys, the way you're playing right now, you could tell that both you and the coaching staff have the guys dialed in to go and continue trying to finish first and win that President's Trophy.
Yeah, we'd like to, obviously, like to finish at the top of the league and have home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. But, it's at what cost? And I think that our team has played consistently well for the last 3 months, and if we continue to do that, we'll all be happy, and the results will be the results. So, if that's the way we keep playing, we're all going to be happy at the end of the year, regardless of where we finish. But we'd like to finish first in the conference for sure. And our yearly objective is get in the playoffs, try and win our division, try and win the conference, and we're pretty well situated to continue with that.
Mike, it's an incredibly busy time of the year for general managers with the trade deadline noon on Monday here. Let's have today be our snapshot for you. How many calls did you make, and how many did you receive with respect to trades, possible deals?
Well, you talk to all 29 other teams in the league for sure. I mean, you wouldn't be doing your job unless you made contact with everybody to see what they're after and what you're after. And I think everybody does that and goes through that process. The problem that we have is there's so many teams that are in the playoff hunt, and it's really difficult to find a trade partner who isn't you're either competing with in your own conference or who wants to make a move because they're close. And we've seen oddly enough, we've seen some hockey trades occur where forwards went for defensemen and defensemen for forwards. So teams are trying to recognize their issues and make up for it. So I think it's going to be an interesting time. I'm not sure how much activity there will be. Not sure how much there will be out of here, but it'll be an interesting time.
Well, were you on the phone a lot today then? Let's get back to that.
I'm on the phone all day, every day. You should ask Mike Milbury. I mean, he did it for years. You're constantly on the phone, and we've got all our pro guys here, and we've thrown around a number of ideas. One of our biggest concerns is changing the makeup of our team. We feel we have a really strong group. We have a dedicated group who hold each other accountable, and for us to upgrade, we're going to have to get the same type of person in here, and if it's there, we'll act upon it. If it's not, you can't manufacture it.
On that topic, here's an email question from Dan Brio, I think it is, or by Twitter, pardon me. How do you balance making the team as strong as possible for right now without mortgaging the team's future, which I think would say is the biggest challenge facing any general manager these days.
Was that a tweet?
It was a tweet, yeah.
Oh,
and it came to us, not to you, because you're not reading them.
I'm not allowed to. Well, clearly, you have to evaluate where you're situated, and we think we have a really good team here. We've got great goaltending, solid defense, really solid scoring up front. So, we're not going to mortgage the future because I don't think that's available. But we are going to attempt to get better if we can, and like I said, we're going to explore every opportunity within reason. And we don't have to do a tremendous amount to support our guys in there. I think that the right the right player in the right position can help us down the stretch in the playoffs.
Like, GMs have been saying post-lockout, especially those that I've talked to, how difficult it is to craft deals and make hockey deals as a result of the cap. We've seen that all kind of go by the wayside this year. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute it to parity. You know, I really think that the teams can now go and they can get on a roll and win 8 or 9 games and make a real difference. And you can also lose 6 or 7 games. So I think that as teams are inching closer and closer together, that the real hockey trades may come back into play because, you know, the money in the system is what it is. There's not a tremendous amount of money in the system. So if everyone is operating within a range that's fairly similar, you can probably find a hockey trade out there because the dollars are fairly similar. So it's an interesting dilemma, and it's fun to be part of it.
Mike, on a percentage scale, what percentage would you attach to the possibility of doing nothing come deadline on Monday?
That's a high percentage. You know, unless we can get the right fit for our group here, we'll go with what we have. But, you know, there's opportunities that come at the last minute, and you have to evaluate them. So it's really difficult to say. Like, the next 48 hours will be extremely busy for a lot of people, and as other teams do other things and other players free up and different things occur. So we'll see how it goes.
What about all the talk devoted to the notion that you're probably or should trade for a fourth-line center?
Well, we've tried Cody in that role, and, you know, you don't want a young player playing 6 or 8 minutes a night. And when you get in the playoff grind, there's always it's tough. It's tough for any young player. So, you know, we're looking at every position like we always do, and if there's an upgrade there, we'll act upon it.
Well, Marty Reisner's name, we stumbled over that a moment ago. So is a veteran guy like that who's cheap in play for you?
Well, he's a player on another team, so I can't comment about him. But, you know, ideally, we don't have a tremendous amount of cap space, and we don't want to take anybody out of our lineup. So we'll be dealing with prospects and picks, and you know, we'll try and have to find that match.
Mike, this morning talking to some of the players, they mentioned the fact that they looked at tonight's game as a statement game, not only from the Bruins, but also from where you guys are, even though you're in the penthouse. Is that the way you felt about this game coming into it tonight, too?
No, because we don't have our full lineup. You know, if we had our full lineup and it's apples to apples, I think that you might look at it that way. You know, we've had a number of games this past year where people thought or, you know, described it like that. But, you know, we just look at the process, and we want our team to play a certain way. We want to attack all the time. We want our defensemen in the play. And when you're missing 2 of your top defensemen, it's pretty hard to attack. So, you know, that game tonight was one where we sort of played a little bit like they did, and it was a bit of a ping-pong match at times, and not a whole lot of scoring opportunities, and that's not our typical type of game.
On that note, just one second, Scott. It's interesting that he mentioned the defense, because you guys, maybe Detroit, but there isn't really another team in the league that really emphasizes the defense being a part of it. That's an organizational philosophy, and it's paid a lot of dividends in your game. Maybe you could speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, we, you know, 3 years ago when I took this job, we wanted to play a certain style of game, and Alain, to his credit, has done a fantastic job in changing the style of this team from a more defensive style that was basically, you know, letting your goalie save the puck and then capitalizing on an opportunity, to one where we now take it to the opponent as much as we can, and we have a very active defense, very good skaters on our defense who can participate in the offense. And you know, I felt that's the way the NHL was going with the rule changes. You have to have a mobile defense. You have to move the puck to your forwards as quickly as possible and have a really high-end transition game. And, you know, Boston plays a different style of game than that, and they're being successful as well. So for us out here, with the makeup of the core group of this team, we felt that was the best way to go, and we went out and acquired defensemen who could play that way.
Okay, Mike, finally 2 quick points, and the first one takes us back to Cody Hodgson. You just said a moment ago it's not good to have a young player like that playing 6 minutes a game. He played 7 tonight, but he got sent down about a month ago because the 8 or 9 minutes a game he was getting here wasn't enough, and now here he is auditioning for the fourth-line center's job. What exactly is Cody Hodgson's situation with the Canucks right now?
Well, he's a young player who's missed a lot of time the past year and a half, and you know, what we did was try and design a program around like San Jose did with Logan Couture, where you go up and then you go back and you play 20 or 22 minutes a night, and you come back and and you're trying to learn every step of the way. And we have a lot of confidence in him. We think he's going to be a terrific player in this league. But everyone comes at it at a different pace,
yes.
and you have to accept that. You can't manufacture maturity. You have to let it evolve on its own. And Cody has done everything we've asked him to do. He's been a real professional. He's worked hard at his game. He's just a little bit behind because of the time he's missed. And we're confident that he's going to continue to improve and be a great player in the National Hockey League.
And finally, as we head to the deadline on Monday, is there any chance that the Canucks would trade either Corey Schneider or Cody Hudson?
Well, I know that there's something someone could offer you that you would have to do. There isn't any player in the league that I think is an untouchable player. If someone offered you something that was just remarkably good, I mean, you have to act upon it. But our intention is not to trade those two young guys. Corey Schneider's a huge part of this team. He has paid his dues in the minors. He deserves an opportunity to be on a good team, and we're giving him that opportunity. Cody is a great young player. He was a 10th overall pick, and we have no intention of trading those players. They're our future, and right now we have a good team, but they're going to be the guys who take over eventually, and at this point, we're not going to trade.
Fair enough. Now you can go to your office and tweet that you had a wonderful time on After Hours with Kevin Weeks and Scott.
I'm not even allowed to tweet. They do it for me. I give them a suggestion, and they do it.
We need your job then.
Yeah, no kidding.
Then maybe you could suggest to the people who are tweeting for you that they tweet that.
Yeah,
is that possible?
Okay, I will.
Yeah, all right. Mike Gillis, Vancouver Canucks General Manager, our guest on After Hours. We're standing by for Ryan Kessler to join us when we come back to Rogers Arena in Vancouver.